Praise God. And then the next thing we need to pray against in America here is California. I see earthquake in California, strong earthquake, and I keep hearing Sacramento also. I see fire disasters in Sacramento. We also need to pray for Los Angeles because I see buildings collapsing in Los Angeles. I see a tall building collapsing in Los Angeles, and I see another building set on fire. So we need to pray very well for Los Angeles because I saw California having floods, a lot of floods and earthquakes this year, 2026. I saw strong earthquakes like magnitude 6, magnitude 7, magnitude 6 point, magnitude 7 point. Very, very strong earthquakes hitting California. So we need to pray for California. And I started hearing things like tsunami in California. So pray for California against earthquakes, floods, and tsunami because I see earthquake, floods, and tsunami coming to California. I also saw fire disasters burning a lot of forest areas in California this year, 2026. So we need to pray for California very much. We need to pray for the state of California very, very much this year.
An earthquake that has been predicted to devastate California, meaning skyscrapers are going to fall. The shape of the United States will change after that earthquake, but that won't happen till after there's a storm. A major storm is going to come to California. It's either a hurricane of incredible force or it is a storm of incredible force. But a great hurricane or incredible force is going to come to California, and the earthquake that destroys it will not happen till after that takes place. You don't want to live in California, anywhere in California when that happens, or perhaps even on most of the West Coast, where an inland ocean is formed, and Baja becomes an island, and the mouth of the inland ocean forms between San Diego and Los Angeles. That isn't going to happen before that storm comes, and so that is a sign that God is giving to the people. Don't worry about that big one, because this sign will happen first.
Christine, really unbelievable to see just how much this land has moved. Now, this road used to be up where our camera is now. I estimate probably 12 feet higher than where we are currently, and it's only getting worse out here.
As you can see, their elevation was about 6 feet higher.
This neighborhood of Portuguese Bend, ground zero.
The gas line breaks about 3 times a week.
Gas a frequent smell. Homes and roads here cracking and sinking more every day. Drone video from the Alpha Structural team shows a giant separation of land cutting through the neighborhood.
This whole part, it just pulled away from over here. It opened up a chasm.
I think it's gotten so bad, they're actually packing up, it looks like, and moving along with the house across the street.
This area continues to drop roughly 12 feet in the last year or so. Just look at this home. It used to be street level, and now it's way down here. Freshly paved Palos Verdes Drive keeps cracking. Nearby historic Wayfarers Chapel forced to close.
I think with the gas, we should probably get out at this point.
Our walk through Friday cut short because of gas fumes. Some homeowners moving out, others hoping the land movement slows down.
It may slow down, but then if you build when it's not moving, then it's going to move later.
According to NASA, some parts of the Central Valley are now sinking more than 2 inches a month.
This morning, California is facing a different kind of emergency. The state's water crisis is impacting one of the world's most important farming regions, the San Joaquin Valley. The ground is literally sinking by up to 1 foot a year. Ben Tracy shows us how the land is becoming as unstable as the water supply.
These fields in California's Central Valley have been sinking by more than 1 foot per year. That means that about 5 years ago, these fields would have been above my head.
The earth's been sinking, the water's been going, and it's been compacting itself. Because of these droughts, there's no water in California, or hasn't been. And so you got it compacting. What normally would be moving around, just crusting itself and compacting itself together, and it's not going to move. And it's not been moving because it's normally moist down there, right? And so it takes more force to where it finally gives. But you get it so dry, folks, and you get it so compacted, and then you want to dump a bunch of water on it. Now, according to my research, this can take up to six months to a year. Now, some people are saying it can take and reports show it can be a couple weeks. But why people are saying it's going to be in February. In any case, so you jump all this water on there, and finally it starts moistening, and finally all that pressure that had been building up finally goes boom. That appears to be exactly what California is going to experience, and not just California, the whole West Coast, like John Paul said.
How do you stop those areas from sinking?
Well, the scientific solution is really easy. You stop lowering groundwater levels.
America, I hope you listen to me. As I step my foot here in America, I have a message for you. This is the moment for you to pray for your country and seek the face of the Lord. Ask for God's mercy and favor to speak for your country. Because what I saw in my vision is not very good. I will not become a prophet of doom to say that the destruction is coming, calamity is coming. No. The people of God need to stand on their feet and pray against every plan of the enemy. I saw submarines, many of them, almost 50 of them, 50 submarines, enemy submarines. They have been sending missiles to the whole of America, which is terrible. We're not praying for this to happen. We are praying for this to be averted, not to happen. So I want to draw to your attention, people in the government, people in the national security, those of you who are in the high positions of administration and military of America, take care of your Navy, take care of your national security, take care of your defense, because the times we are living right now, we are living in perilous times where anything can happen.
In the dream, I knew I was over the ocean, and I was headed towards California, and I went in the water, and in the water, deep in the water, I had like supernatural vision. I could see 3 submarines. They were all the type of submarines that can go to very, very deep levels. I knew by the Spirit that these submarines were from Russia. They were yellow in color, and they were deep submarines that can go very deep. But I also knew through the Spirit that they were nuclear-armed submarines, and they were unmanned submarines. These were submarine drones, if you'd like to call them as such. They were unmanned submarines that could go to very deep depths. They were headed to go underneath the state of California, not, you heard me, underneath. For those of you that don't know, there have been cases where the United States military has actually lost a submarine underneath the state of California. You can research that yourself. So for those of you that don't know, and some parts of California looks like a honeycomb almost. There's wide, massive caverns underneath, all going around throughout the state of California. And some people who have had visions of literally seeing angels holding up California. That's why California hasn't had any massive destruction, because of the grace of God. But now let's speak about when the grace of God could be removed. In the dream that I saw, these 3 submarines, they all split up and went into different areas going under the state of California. I knew that by the Spirit. They were all nuclear unmanned submarines, yellow in color, and they had nuclear devices in them. And I also knew that they were going to go to do a mission, which I knew was to set off the nuclear devices.
I was standing in the car park of this building, and it was an open air car park, and I looked to my left and the building was on my left, and the car park also went under the building, but I was out in the open air of the car park. The building I knew for a fact was a government building, because when I saw it, they just have that type of look. I then decided to walk up to the entrance, and walk up the stairs and up to the entrance of the car park. Of the car park, and walk up to the entrance of the building. I looked into the building. From a distance, I could see that it had an FBI sign on it. And being led into the building in handcuffs was Andrew Tate. I then walked back down to the car park, as I felt the Lord guide me back to the car park. And as I stood there, I felt the ground starting to shiver and shake. And I looked out upon all the buildings, the high-rise buildings, and they were swaying. And then all of a sudden there was a great upheaval, and the earth just lifted. The whole earth just lifted up, and all the buildings came tumbling down and crashing around me. I then looked up into the sky, and there were glowing words that were written saying, "Man-made, a man-made earthquake."
Hi guys, I have a dream to share with you. I'm not going to give you an interpretation of it, I'm just going to tell you like I saw it. And I'm not trying to freak anybody out or put fear into anyone, so don't freak out, don't panic. Take it to the Lord in prayer and ask for confirmation. Okay, so that's my disclaimer. Now for the dream. I saw children and grown men taking red barrels and placing them on a fault line in California. I knew that these barrels were going to be used as explosives and were going to be detonated on this fault line. I was shown a map, and I saw that Washington State, Oregon, California, and Nevada would be affected. Those states looked like they would be ripped away from the land, like a landslide. Then yesterday, while I was visiting with my dad, I did a quick search on YouTube to see if anyone else had gotten a dream like this, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, "Remember when somebody asked you about a bomb in California?" Instantly, I knew what he was talking about. Last year, someone asked me about a prophecy regarding a bomb in San Francisco, or somewhere in that area. Apparently, someone did give a prophecy about a bomb being planted in the San Francisco area. Again, don't be alarmed. Just take it to the Lord in prayer and ask for confirmation. I'm just giving you the heads up and letting you know that it has been confirmed to me that the earthquake will be a man-made earthquake and that it will cause the entire West Coast to drop off into the ocean. There are people out there who say that this can't happen, but I assure you it will. But don't take my word for it. Take it to the Lord.
So I had this dream where I was in, I believe in California. There was tall buildings there and a bridge, and I saw a wave coming. And in this wave, there were people in the wave swimming or being carried by the wave. So it was not such a big wave, but it was big enough to cause destruction and to take some people. And then I was inside a building and I heard a loud noise like a boom, really loud noise. And then there was another wave that came, and that wave, guys, it was so big. It was huge. I think it, when I looked up, it seemed like it covered the sky when it was coming. And you know what? I saw nobody in it. I saw nothing because the wave, it covered everything. And then the Spirit of the Lord said to me in a dream, when they hear of the earthquake in Tokyo on the radio, they must flee. And then I saw some Christians packing their cars and packing to move away. So that's the only thing that I remember from the dream. I don't know why the Lord said in the radio that you're going to read on the radio, that you're going to listen, hear of it through the radio. I don't know what the meaning of that is, but the dream was very specific. I believe this one, I'm not sure, but I believe this one can happen, if not right before the rapture, to happen on the tribulation. So guys, just be ready because Jesus is coming very soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.
The tsunami that will come up the Los Angeles River, the height of it is beyond imagination. In places, it looked to me like it was over 200 feet tall coming up there. The Lord told me that He is going to give them a warning in California. And the shaking will begin in Caliente and Mexicali. When those two places shake, it'll shortly happen in the other places. So I think that if people will listen, He's going to warn them. And I think the warning will be Mexicali, Caliente, borderline. And I think it's surely going to shake. If it does, then San Diego, Los Angeles, Frisco, right up the coast. I've never known which would go first, Frisco or Los Angeles.
Hardly noticeable at first, but it was as though the whole city froze as one, and then the shaking and the terror, and then the fire came. I saw a horrifying inferno, a literal inferno. I saw ravaged land, ravaged cities, destruction. But one city received a warning. The warning came to Los Angeles. He saw a smoke continue to rise from San Francisco, and thousands upon thousands of the city were killed in the first strike. But then he saw a second strike. He saw water devastating parts of the West Coast, to the north, beware the north, the Northern California and coastline. He saw plumes of smoke rising from the charred buildings. There was not just one city affected. It was more than one on the North California coast. People were bleeding and dying, and the moon turned a strange color of crimson. And the haze hung over the bay for many days and nights, and the city was silent. He saw thousands of people were left crushed and drowned. He saw San Francisco and along the northern coast, the shaking did its turn. There was a lot of destructions. And he saw a great scale from the sky. And on one side of the scale, it was weighted right down with sin and iniquity. And he was just shocked that so many San Francisco were destroyed. And he knew it was caused by the sin and rebellion from against God. If you live in San Francisco and you haven't repented, it's probably the best idea to do so. If you are a Christian, maybe start praying to Him, see what God tells you to do, when's the best time to move, or what God wants you to do. As I was reading about it, it was really troubling for me. And I know we all have to pray, we all have to get ready, we all have to be prepared no matter where you live. Because California will probably be affected, but it also can affect the whole country.
And the Lord told me, He said, Brandon, this was a warning before the major one. This is a warning. The 7.1 that happened on 12/5, He said was a warning for what's coming. I saw this massive quilt that was sewn down with this golden thread that was all like quilted to the United States of America, that went on a humongous over the states. It was a covering over Yellowstone National Park and over that whole area up north. And the Lord showed me it was a very active volcanic area that He has suppressed for a long time. That covering, that hedge of that protection was being lifted off of that area. And then the Lord showed me a massive earthquake that went from San Francisco area all the way through Portland, all the way through Seattle, and it shook the whole West Coast area, and it broke off. The land broke off, and water flooded inland. And then the Lord showed me fires going all the way up through Anchorage, Alaska. And I don't know if it was a pipeline. I don't want to assume. All I know is that everything from British Columbia all the way up was all on fire.
A large chunk of island that used to be a supermassive volcano stretching across what's now British Columbia and Alaska.
And then the Lord showed me a massive tsunami wave that was caused because when the land shifted and fell, that pressure from the land caused a massive tsunami, and it wiped out Japan. So I just thought it was really interesting that on the fifth day, on 12/5, that the earthquake is 7.1, not even a little one, a pretty substantial earthquake happened on that same fault line.
The notorious Cascadia subduction zones start in California and ends up all the way in Vancouver, Canada.
When they hear of the earthquake in Tokyo on the radio, they must flee.
Just recently, I'm pretty sure that many of you guys have also heard that the Japanese government have warned their population to brace and prepare themselves for a mega earthquake and also a mega tsunami. According to them, they're expecting it in the next 30 years, which you know that you can't take anything that they say, like whenever it comes to timing. But as far as when they tell you that something is coming, you have to pay very close attention and believe them. And whenever they start to speak like this, it makes me think that the elites are going to have something to do with this next coming geophysical event. I believe this event, personally, I believe it will be man-made. Okay, whenever it occurs. I'm not saying that it is or it is not going to happen in July. But whenever it occurs, we know that it's coming, that there's going to be some kind of geophysical event there in the West Coast that these elites have been planning for many years now. We all know that it's coming.
A while back, and I'm not sure if I ever released it, I heard, and I was waking up saying, I believe, a wind is blowing in from the east. A wind is blowing in from the east. And maybe you all can share some more details if you know more about the east winds in the Bible, but they're usually destructive winds. I was looking at this image head on, and my spirit said Japan. Japan is the largest holder of U.S. debt, okay? They have a carry trade where they take, they borrow Japanese yen at ultra low rates, and this borrowed yen they use to buy bonds and stocks in countries like the US that have a higher interest rate. And so they're making money that real quick. So if something happened in Japan, that carry trade, which is very, very important to the broader market, if it unwinds, could be a catastrophe in itself. But let's just say, what if there was a geological event like an earthquake, maybe a major earthquake, right? And then if there was destruction or something were to happen around Japan and that carry trade unwinds and they're major providers of liquidity to the broader markets, and then U.S. treasuries get dumped back on us, what could happen to the major market? That if that carry trade unwinds, that could be a huge event in itself. But if there was a bigger natural event too, that is just something that we need to keep our eyes on. But earthquakes have been highlighted to me. I mentioned that because of my next dream that I'm going to share. In this dream, I was in California. I've never been to California, but I knew I was in California. And I kind of thought San Francisco when I woke up. And all of a sudden, water just swarmed onto the land. And so much that I could no longer see land. And then I'm on a ship, a big ship. Nothing else happened on the boat. I come to the top of the ship, and my daughter brings me she has these soggy scrambled eggs on it. And I realized that there wasn't much food after getting off this ship, or coming up from the ship, like a famine. A couple nights or a night later, I actually had two more dreams right in a row. One dream, and it was very simple. There was bombs dropping from the sky. The next dream I had, bombs were also dropping, but they were dropping from drones. I do want to go back to that California dream. I woke up a couple days after that dream, and I was singing a song over and over, and I heard it. And the part of this line I was singing was West LA. So I also think that, because I wasn't sure if I was in San Francisco or where I was, so they might both be affected. If there was like an earthquake in Japan and water came on shore, San Francisco and LA could be if it was a megaquake, could definitely get major tsunami or water. But in that California dream, one thing I didn't point out at the very beginning of the dream, there was a man that there was nowhere to go. And this man, he was getting into a shipping container and he was going to lock himself in. And all of a sudden I see him get into the shipping container and shut the door, and he just floated off in the water because there was no land anywhere. Nobody had anywhere to go. So it could be symbolic, but I wanted to mention that earthquakes have been highlighted to me, and that if it were to be some sort of major quake, that there could be tsunami on California. Maybe it's symbolic, but again, it was impressed upon me. So